This year is the 30th anniversary of Jurassic Park. Merchandise, lots of pop-up shops and lots more merchandise is scheduled to appear throughout the year. No games yet, still, somehow, but Jurassic World Evolution 2 continues to hold down the fort heading into its second full year of existence. It seems inevitable. Take that with a grain of salt, it's not confirmed, but it feels very likely that we'll get a DLC coinciding with the 30th anniversary, which happens this July. But what is it likely to contain if it does exist? And what would your personal wish list of content be? Now, I considered making this video a little while ago, a month or two ago, but it turns out a bunch of other people have had the same idea, and I'd hate to lend credence to this idea I saw on the subreddit that YouTubers somehow have DLC knowledge like half a year in advance, which is nonsense. I've not seen those videos though, so hopefully we can present some unique ideas in this video. And if not, just listen to my voice and pretend that it, does things for you, and we'll be okay. Let's get started. First things first, this is a tricky DLC. We'd expect the next pack we get, probably in March if Frontier sticks to the usual timeline, to be a standard dinosaur pack of some description, following from the more elaborate Malta DLC we got in December. 3 to 4 months further on in June, July would be the perfect time to release along with the anniversary, but we'd expect a more substantial pack than just a bunch of dinosaurs. But why is that a problem? Well, because Return to Jurassic Park already exists. Releasing for Evolution 1 as its big final send-off DLC, not only did it give us all the Jurassic Park themed buildings you'd expect in such a pack, but it also told a story coinciding with the first film. Kind of ideal content for the 30th anniversary. Frontier, why didn't you plan this half a decade in advance? Sheesh. Adding to this, we already have the equivalent story in Evolution 2 thanks to Chaos Theory mode. So all told, if this is going to be a chunky pack like we want and expect, they're going to have to do something a little bit different. First, let's talk dinosaurs. Rarity for this channel, I know. Mercifully, there are some good options here at least. Microceratus is the standout choice, and I have to imagine this is why it's been omitted from both of the Dominion-themed DLC packs we've already had. Microceratus appears in the original novel, was storyboarded to appear in Jurassic World as part of the Cretaceous Cruise, was mentioned in DPG materials for Fallen Kingdom, and then finally appeared on screen in Jurassic World Dominion, the only dinosaur from that film to not make it into the game. If we don't see it appear this year, especially given the new tiny dinosaur mechanic we have in Evolution 2 now, I will eat my hat. I still don't have a hat, but I will buy a small hat for this express purpose. All the other filmed dinosaurs and creatures have made it into the game by now, except one, Stegosaurus, which appears only on the map for Jurassic Park, but we can keep harvesting the novel instead for more potential species, 3 of which, from the first novel, haven't made the transition to screen or game yet. Number 1, Hadrosaurus was due to appear in the first film after appearing in the original novel, but was scrapped in favour of Gallimimus when Spielberg decided he wanted something speedier and more nimble. It also appears in the concept art for The Lost World and for Fallen Kingdom, making it yet another one of those nearly dinosaurs that, despite having a long history in the franchise, has never quite made the leap into reality. Procompsognathus was replaced by the easier to pronounce Compsognathus for The Lost World, but the Pro-I iteration, something that Apple's going to charge me £1,000 for it feels like, appeared first in the original novel and the Lost World novel. Funnily enough, the Compsognathus in The Lost World, as in the film, is referred to by the species name Triassicus, which is actually the species name for Procompsognathus. While similar in size and name, the two dinosaurs really aren't that closely related, with Procompsognathus appearing 60 million years earlier in the Triassic than the amateur version we got in the films. Whilst it wouldn't necessarily tie into the novel description of the dinosaur, I think this would be a really cool opportunity to introduce another feathered theropod, providing the necessary contrast with the Compsognathus we already have, and giving us more feathery goodness, which I think we're kind of holding on for here. Finally, for those missing dinosaurs, we have Ophnielia, now instead actually called Nanosaurus. Similar to Dryosaurus, it lived amongst them in the original Jurassic Park novel, and it's actually portrayed as arboreal. It lived amongst the trees, something that Malcolm even comments on further in the Lost World novel. Probably not ideal for Evolution 2, I don't know if that's a mechanic we'd ever get, but another opportunity to give us a similar dinosaur, this time to the Dryosaurus, but with a whole new look, perhaps presenting our Nanosaurus or Ophnielia as quilled instead. That'd be pretty cool. Of course, this is just the original novel, and that doesn't even wholly make sense because it's the anniversary of the film, not the novel. But I can't see Frontier releasing a DLC pack that doesn't contain new species, and so plucking ones from the novel and rounding out that canon roster feels like the best bet. You could extend it to the second novel too. Dinosaurs like Gravitholus and Hypsilophodon have long been neglected, but I imagine we'll be sticking to the original Park timeline and canon. There's a few more additions that could be made if we stick to that original Jurassic Park though. A lot has been made of the change of size of Dilophosaurus. They're 10 feet tall, huge in the original novel, much more akin to the actual dinosaur, and they're a different beast entirely to the one we get in the film. They do still spit, but they're huge and pretty. An alternate cosmetic for the Dilophosaurus that produced their original novel version would be really cool, and we have seen some fantastic mods lately that attempt to recreate exactly that. Similarly, if you wanted to extend the net a little bit further and copyright issues were able to be, swerved around a little bit, dipping into the likes of Jurassic Park the game with its Tylosaurus and Troodon variants, the latter maybe requiring a few tweaks, would be great to see. We've got luminosity in the game now on our species in Evolution 2, so we could get our giant glowing-eyed Troodons, with slightly less hectic mouths, I would suggest. Frontier has, generally speaking, done a really good job at bringing all the movie dinosaurs and species to life, including the huge suite of alternate skins we have in really good accuracy. It's hard to find too much room for expansion in the roster if you're limited to the original Jurassic Park, but utilising the novel seems like the obvious answer to me at least, and they have already shown a willingness to do so with the addition of Sierradactylus. It's elsewhere that this pack has real potential though. Since they don't need to focus on building a new building set, they can instead focus on two exciting possibilities: decorations and attractions. Decorations has, I would say, less options. A lot of the film things have made it in as is. I'd love more alternate signposts and stuff like that, but there's a good chunk, and there's still potential here in making existing buildings more film accurate, such as, say, the security bunker for Jurassic Park, and also in potentially cool items to add to our parks. For example, we could get Jurassic Park gates that you could place anywhere with less restrictions, or even a mini version that you can then put into your exhibits. That'd be pretty cool. An overturned tour vehicle so we can recreate scenes like the iconic Rex breakout, the Alamosaurus and Tyrannosaurus Rex skeletons from the visitor center interior, the banner from that same scene, and the fossil-studded platforms that the skeletons stood upon. And if they finally wanted to give us benches and bins, then why not take inspiration from the ones in Jurassic Park Operation Genesis? This is an area Frontier has done pretty well with, and other than benches and bins, it's pretty crazy we don't have those in the game yet. Most of these feel like nice bonus options rather than fundamental park build options, but that doesn't hold true for the next category: attractions. Look, I know I've been beating this drum for literally 5 years now, but the game still needs more attractions, and we did just get one. The zip line on the Evolution 2 anniversary for free is really cool. It's a shame we didn't get other versions for other parks, and it's a shame it doesn't resemble the Camp Cretaceous version. That seems a little weird, but for a free attraction, it's fantastic, and I really like utilising it in my park builds, and will continue to do so. Whilst it's a great step in the right direction, other than a few new creature behaviours, and I would eat a second, even larger hat if we finally got walking pterosaurs, Quetzalcoatlus in particular, new attractions is still top of my personal list, and this is a great time to add them. The Jungle River Cruise was prominent in the first novel and even in some of the Sega games, my beloved Rampage edition, based on the series, and it was storyboarded to appear in the first film. All this takes, he says, vastly underestimating the amount of work literally all game dev takes, is the same track mechanics as the existing tour vehicles, but either you make it only placeable on water or, and I would prefer this, that you place the track down and it kind of adds deep, uncrossable water underneath the track as you place it. The dinosaurs don't need to swim. I'd be very happy tootling my little boat around some dinosaur-filled islands, and that is how it's presented to us in Jurassic World, where this kind of thing did make its screen appearance finally via the Cretaceous cruise. The Terratops Lodge was also in the original novel. This was a tall hotel that sat inside the aviary, and it got cancelled because Sierradactylus is a bit of a dick and kept trying to murder everyone. But how about a viewing tower, or indeed an enclosed hotel tower kind of thing that we can place in our aviaries? It would make sense to have a new aviary viewing method that isn't constrained to the outskirts like the current viewing gallery is. Of course, this isn't the first time, or the second, or the third, or fourth time I've made a video discussing potential evolution attractions, but there is so much possibility for scope and expansion here. As always, Operation Genesis, set in the same era as the original park, can provide plenty of inspiration, with its viewing domes and balloon tours being highly requested additions to the game. If you expanded the scope even further than that, then something like the treetop tours that were meant to appear in Jurassic Park would be really cool, and of course there's always the Bone Shaker roller coaster from Jurassic Park the game. Making a fully customizable roller coaster might be pushing the boat a little bit too far, although, you know, they did make Planet Coaster, so you never know. A placeable, moving, animated attraction would be enough for me. I just want stuff, you know, stuff to make the parks feel more like the resorts and all-encompassing parks they were meant to be, rather than the dinosaur gallery they still often feel like. I haven't written this down, so we're going off script for a second, but new fences and new path types would be fantastic as well. Fences, I get, it's tricky to make small fences given the dinosaurs that require certain animations. You'd have to come up with a way to limit that. But path types in particular feels really limited now in Evolution 2 compared to everything else. I'd love to see that expanded. Again, we could have some that reference the original film, have a JPOG style path, etc. Now, knowing Frontier, if this DLC does turn out to be reality, then there will be a chunky free update alongside it, with potential much requested features like smaller or no, preferably, hitboxes on decorations, and less limitations on foliage and texture brushing. Either way, focusing in on that 30th anniversary and banking on the nostalgia sounds like a surefire hit to me. And whilst they've already done a good job of bringing so much of the films to life, there's clearly still a lot of room to play with here in the expanded canon. We'll find out what they're doing come the summer. As I say, I expect the next DLC to be a fairly standard dinosaur pack, potentially a second Camp Cretaceous pack, but we'll probably hear about that in the next couple of weeks anyway. As soon as we do, I'll bring you all the news right here on the channel, of course. Let me know what you think about these 30th anniversary ideas, and feel free to let me know your own ideas in the comment section down below. Throw me a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to stick around if you're new, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me, cheers, much love as always. Bye-bye.
Reaching out.